A few months before, while all of this was happening, it was the Midoriya twins' birthday, and the family had gone out with the Bakugo and Todoroki families. When they were in the restaurant, Tuya, he is a pro hero in this world. Number 10 hero Firestorm, same powers as Firestorm from DC, mutated quirk, asked, "Hey, where is Izuku-kun? It's been a while since I've seen him." "Yeah, where is he?" Fuyumi asked. At that moment, Inko and Hishashi remembered Izuku for the first time in years and stuttered as they said, "He's at home, he's sick, so he didn't want to come today." Tuya, who had gone undercover as a villain before and was trained under detectives, immediately knew something was wrong. "You're lying," he said. Enji, Rei, Mitsuki, and Masaru looked at him. They are sweating and stuttering, the telltale signs of lying. Tuya elaborated. "They lied," Katsuki said, smirking. "All of them except the kids," and the Midoriya looked at him. They neglected their kids so much that they forgot he existed. No wonder that demon was depressed at school the past years. Katsuki told them. Enji and Masaru stood up and looked at them in fury. "Natsuo, you know something about him, don't you?" Tuya asked Natsuo, his younger brother, who was silent. Natsuo told them the full story, about how the 5 children abused and bullied him at school, and how he never eats at home. He also told them Izuku worked to get his food, and only ate once a week. He also told them Izuku made him promise not to tell anyone unless they ask, and that he had disappeared 2 weeks ago. By the time Natsuo finished, Rei and Mitsuki were crying at the thought of Izuku, who they cared about as if he was their son. Enji, Masaru, and Tuya were furious and upset at the 5 children. All 5 of them, except Katsuki, faced down in shame. Katsuki, however, laughed. "Well, that villain is dead now." Masaru, who was usually calm all the time, lost his calm and slapped Katsuki across the face, an act which shocked everyone. Masaru never got angry at anything, and he must have been angry enough to lose his cool. "Shut up, Katsuki Bakugo. He was no villain. You are his villain," he shouted at him. Realization hit Katsuki like a 20-pound sledgehammer as he realized he was actually in the wrong and started to regret his action. All of them left and went to the Midoriya household and went to check Izuku's room. It was mostly the way it was. Nothing. And all of his clothes and notebooks he wrote were gone. There was only a letter on the bed. Rei took the letter and started reading it aloud. "Dear family, why you guys remembered me in 5 years. I couldn't take it anymore. I'm sorry. I was neglected and bullied for something I could not control. By the time you find this letter, this demon would be far away." Or, she stopped reading, sobbing and tears flowing uncontrollably. Tuya took the paper and continued, "Be dead in some random place. After all, isn't that what all of you wanted? Thank you for giving birth to me, mother, and letting me be neglected. Thank you for upraising father, and letting me be forgotten. Thank you for your support, Izura, for giving me these wounds. Yours sincerely, Izuku Midoriya Deku." "You bastards!" Enji roared with fury, and the 3 families searched for Izuku for 2 weeks. When nothing resulted, he was presumed dead, and the families were in grief. The Midoriya family was filled with guilt at losing a very precious member of the family, and the kids who bullied him swore to become a hero in memory of him. Little did they know he was very much alive. "Izuku, we both know you are aiming to go to our school. How about we both recommend you?" Namiri asked during dinner 2 weeks before the entrance exam. "No, Mom. I want to take the entrance exam and get in with my strength and intelligence," Izuku replied with a bright smile. "Well, I'm not worried. Aiza beat Toshi like 5 days ago when sparring, and he got full marks on a test paper I gave him." Rumi grinned. "Wait, what? Aiza, you beat All Might?" Namiri asked in surprise. Izuku shrugged. His weakness is mainly his right side. Even though it's healed, his scar still gives him trouble sometimes. With that, Izuku descended into his mutter storm on how to defeat All Might. Namiri playfully flicked his forehead, and all 3 of them laughed. On the day of the entrance exam, Izuku walked into the UA grounds just to trip and fall, and he stopped falling. "Sorry for using my quirk on you. It would have been bad luck to fall on the ground," a very curvaceous girl with black hair tied into a ponytail said as she uprighted him and released her quirk. "Well, I hope to see you in UA," the girl said before going. Looks like she's a nice person," Izuku thought to himself as he rushed to the lecture hall, where the briefing would be conducted. Present Mike, a tall blonde pro hero with spiky hair, a black leather outfit, and funky tinted sunglasses, frowned slightly when no one was looking his way as he watched the scene unfolding in his lecture hall. He was one of the teachers at the UA High, and he'd been assigned to explain to the new potential candidates for the hero course that year how the entrance exam they were taking would be scored. The written exam had been easy to explain, and it had gone off without a hitch. There was one green-haired kid near the middle of one of the back rows who was muttering to himself, but it was quiet enough that the pro saw no reason to interfere with the likely nervous habit, not wanting to unnecessarily psyche out someone who might pass otherwise. After all, he was well aware of the adage, never judge a book by its cover. Plus, the muttering seemed to not be causing any harm to anyone else either, so as long as he cut it out when the written exam began, there would be no need for calling it out. One kid disagreed, finally snapping in the middle of the pro's explanation of the practical exam. The teacher had been explaining how there were small one-point robots, larger two-point robots, and giant three-point robots that's power grew with their point values. They would be destroyed to earn points. The student, a tall blue-haired student who introduced himself as Tenya Ida, had shot up from his seat, demanding an explanation as to why the UA. A pamphlet explaining the exam listed the 4 types of robots, which Present Mike simply hadn't gotten around to explaining, as he wanted to spare as much information on it as possible, as well as turning and yelling at the muttering boy to leave if he couldn't take the exam seriously. The green-haired kid glared at him, and it even scared Mike a bit. Now, listeners, let's not be getting too harsh on one another's styles, you dig? I'm sure more than one of you is stressing the hizzle out, but try not to turn on each other now, just cause you get different ways of coping, you feel me? He didn't wait for an answer before continuing. Great Amundo! Now then, my tall little listener, you got one thing right. We ain't got to talking about the 0-pointer yet. There's not too much to say, though, about it. Like the name implies, you get no points from taking it on, so think of it like an obstacle you got to avoid. Now then, you all have your tests in front of you. Let's get this written exam started. A plain-looking woman with long brunette hair, pink glasses, and a kind face walked up to the podium. When you're done, or when an hour has passed, you'll be bringing the test down to Ms. Imai here. She'll tell you where to go to get ready for the practical after that. Good day and good luck, listeners. Before I go, though, let's hear your enthusiasm one more time for trying to get into our fine school. Are you ready? T.C.H. hate it when they're quiet, Mike thought to himself, turning around and leaving. As he did, though, he spared one glance back toward the muttering kid. He looked embarrassed, but seemed to have recovered from the Ida kid's berating. Mike hummed to himself as he left. He wasn't sure why, but he had a feeling that the kid had more to him than he could see at first glance. He'd be sure to keep an eye on him during the practical portion for sure. Present Mike. Good. That means it shouldn't be more than an hour now until the judging will commence. A small bear-mouse hybrid thing known as Nizu, the principal of UA, said gleefully as his head popped out the capture scarf of one of Mick's coworkers. The scarf belonged to a scruffy, black-haired, hobo-looking teacher known amongst heroes as Eraserhead. To the staff, he was Shota Aizawa. To Mike and his other coworker, the sultry, seductive, black-haired Namiri Kiyama Usajiyama. Midnight. Aizawa was simply known as favorite prank victim. None of the kids caused trouble. A pro with a mask over his face and an odd Western-inspired outfit asked, inspecting an unloaded pistol in his hands. He was known as Snipe. I saw on one of the security cameras that one kid bolted up in the middle of your speech. Oh, it was no problem, Present Mike assured, walking over to the side of the room with student files, which didn't go unnoticed by anyone, waving away the issue as he began his search. He just had some questions I was happy to answer for the little listener. If he gets to know, he might need to learn to loosen up a little, think he spooked some of the other contestants. Or got on their nerves. Maybe both. Huh? What are you looking for over there? A spacesuit-wearing pro known as 13 asked curiously. A cloning pro with exposed teeth and a black dome and trench coat, known as Ectoplasm, beside her also voiced his curiosity. Just this one kid that caught my eye. Something about him is just jumping out at me, making me curious. Mike, chances are there are 100 quirks that could make someone have you focus on them more than usual. I doubt it means much. Aizawa spoke up, bored, seemingly disinterested. Their newest member of staff, a muscular black-haired man with messy hair, muttered to himself in thought, frowning. What only the people present in that room knew was that man, known to everyone else as Hisashi Midoriya, was in reality Salamander, the #2 hero around the world. "What's off about him?" he asked. Nothing, it's probably just a coincidence." The blonde waved it away. "Okay. Well, anyways, Aizawa, I doubt it's a quirk. Doesn't feel like a quirk, it's more like there's something about him compared to the students in general. He feels different, like he's got a different attitude and everything. Besides, we've got to pass an hour anyways, so why not look into it?" "Fine, but if you find nothing interesting, you will have to entertain the rest of us until the practical exam starts." The scruffy pro sighed. The blonde smirked. "No problem, Chief. I don't doubt my gut, so I bet I can find something." Present Mike chuckled, looking through the files, humming to himself. Not him. He's going for a business course. He's in support. Definitely not her or her. Not him. Here we go. I found him." Everyone leaned in, admittedly curious about the show Present Mike was putting on. All Might, who was also present in his true form, real name Toshinori Yagi, took a sip of his water, looking around and wondering if this is what it was always like. "His name is Izuku Kiyamayusujiyama." Hisashi froze up for a moment, guilt and worry passing by his red eyes. But he realized it wasn't the same person as he thought. You were talking about our son?" "Guess," he was muttering during the presentation, "wasn't he?" Namuri replied with a grin. "Sorry about that. He was planning for the entrance exam. The thing that disturbed me is how he responded to the tall kid. He shot a glare at him, and the pressure on the room increased." Mike asked, "Oh, this is a quirk then?" "Izuku's quirk is Demon Dash," Aizawa replied. "Demon?" Hisashi gasped in shock. "What's wrong?" Snipe asked. "I'm sorry, it's just that my missing son, his name was Izuku as well, and he had the same quirk." Hisashi replied, "I've been trying to find him for months now, but I still haven't found him." "Well, I wish you luck in finding him, but let's focus on the exam first," Aizawa said, turning towards the screen, fully knowing where Izuku Midoriya was and how he was now Izuku Kiyamayusujiyama. After the bus ride to the testing grounds, Izuku stretched and got ready for the test. He then saw the nice girl, and she looked nervous. He was about to walk to her and comfort her when the boy, who interrupted Present Mike, Lita, stopped him and said, "Are you going to distract her and stop her from doing well on the exam?" Izuku glared at him and replied, "Look, Lita, have you ever considered that I'm just going to go to comfort her because she is nervous?" he asked as he walked towards the girl. Lita stared at him at a loss for words. "Hey, are you feeling nervous too? Thank you for the save at the entrance." "I wanted to thank you, but you seemed in a hurry," Izuku told the girl. "Oh, it's fine. My name is Momo Yagia Yuruzo. Nice to meet you." Izuku introduced himself and wished her luck. "Looks like she's the daughter of Uncle Toshi. What a surprise," Izuku thought to himself. At that moment, he heard Present Mike's voice yell out and start. As soon as he did, Izuku, now hyper-focused, left a trail of dust in his wake. He was darting through the testing grounds when he heard, "Well, what are you waiting for? There aren't countdowns in real life." He turned around to see Momo running alongside him, red lightning sparkling around her. "Whoa, you're fast," Izuku said as he summoned his Nichiren sword. Due to his quirk, his blade looked like a normal Nichiren blade. Half of it was red and the other purple, but when he was in demon form, it became a huge branch sword. Both of them worked together and defeated tons of robots. Near the middle of the exam, they separated. As they gained points, Izuku also helped other examinees, including Lita. It was exhilarating and frankly enjoyable. His thoughts were interrupted by a loud, booming sound and the appearance of a skyscraper-sized robot shaking the earth as it moved, reducing buildings to rubble. Izuku paled in shock and was about to run until he heard a familiar voice call out in pain. He turned and his eyes widened with shock as he saw someone with familiar black hair buried under a pile of rubble. "Momo!" he yelled in his mind. His mind went into overdrive and Izuku transformed into his demon form. He quickly rushed towards Momo, lifting the rubble over her, which weighed around 1,500 kilograms, carried her in a bridal position away from the bot. He put her down gently, and in a blink of an eye, ran so fast it looked like he teleported and swung his sword. "Moondragon Ringtail," he shouted, unleashing his wrath on the humongous zero-pointer. Everyone was shocked to see the bot destroyed with one attack. In the spectating room, Namiri and Rumi cheered for their son, as Aizawa and All Might clapped. All Might leave to go to Recovery Girl to see his daughter. After the bot was down, everybody heard the present mic announce, "Time's up." Slowly, everyone started to leave. Izuku transformed into his human form and de-summoned his sword. He bent down to Momo and asked, "Can you walk now?" He asked, "I think I broke my leg," Momo said, clutching her leg. "Well, let's go," Izuku said as he lifted her into a bridal position once again. Momo yelped and blushed, and they went to Recovery Girl's office and laid her down on the bed. The old heroine and All Might walked inside the office. "Hello, Recovery Girl. Uncle Might," Izuku greeted. "Your daughter broke her leg when the rubble fell on her." All Might chuckled while Momo looked at them in surprise. "Knowing how smart you are, Izuku, I guessed you would figure out sooner or later." All Might said, "Thanks for helping her." Izuku nodded while Momo looked at her in confusion as Recovery Girl healed her leg. "Well, I'll introduce myself. I'm Izuku Kiyamu Sugiyama, the adopted son of Midnight and Mirko. Uncle Might help me control my quirk and help me enhance it." Momo understood and later left together with her father. Izuku went to the staff room to meet his mothers. "Looks like someone has a crush now," All Might teased Momo, now in his true form. "Papa!" Momo yelled, her face reddening. Meanwhile, in a different testing ground, the five who once bullied Izuku Midoriya, who called themselves the Sosthenes, SST for short, also passed the entrance exam with good scores. "It's a shame Father refused to recommend us," Shoka said sadly. "It's punishment for what we did to Izuku. We are lucky they even allowed us to attend," Katsuki said. Katsuka, who had a minor crush on Izuku when they were young, and Izura teared up slightly, which the others didn't notice.